So I passed. And my final point, I was going to save this last because it's a bit of a heavier topic, so I thought this might be best to, leave it a bit to the end. So I have anxiety, which I'm sure many people do. It's not uncommon. We all have a bit of anxiety, and it's hard to deal with. It's a lot. It puts these thoughts into your head and you believe them. So I didn't think I could do it. I honestly didn't. I mean, when I got that bike and I got on it, all of a sudden those dreads came. All the things that could go wrong, I thought about. The fact that I couldn't do it was always in my head. But I had to do it because I wanted to, and I needed to prove to myself that I could do it. Because anxiety is weird. It will tell you can't do things and that things will happen that are out of your control, and you end up locking yourself away, which isn't healthy for anyone. It's not a good way to be. You cannot let it take control, which it does. It happens to everyone, and that's okay. That's why the bike's great, because when you're on that bike, it goes away. You can't focus on your anxiety. You have to focus on you and the bike and what you're doing on that road, which is why I wanted the bike, because it felt amazing, but that anxiety had a real good hold on me for a while. So I did what I was taught to do, what I found works for me. I just breathed through it and kept talking to myself, and I sounded crazy, believe me. My dad, through the headset, would always ask me if I'm alright or what am I doing, because I just talked, or I hummed to myself, or I just made noises. I sound like a crazy person now, but it helps, weirdly, and that's just for me. It could be different for any of you out there. It could always, no one's the same. So I did that. I thought about what my dad would tell me the entire time. He would be in my thoughts. And I think about just the bike. I wouldn't think about any of the other bad things that could happen. I just made myself focus on me and the bike. And surprisingly, it does work. And it's very hard. It takes a lot of time, but you will get there. It's fine. You can make mistakes. You can have those bad thoughts, and you can definitely be nervous, but it's not to let it take over. It's to find ways to cope with it, which is what I had to do for the bike, and it's very, very hard. I mean, it took me months to get to this point, and I'm still very nervous. On the road, you will see I was completely stiff. I looked like a bit of a numpty, and I am all sore under here because I was so tense holding on, but that's okay. I will relax eventually, like everyone else has or will, because I'm sure there's plenty of you that want to learn. Even if you do learn now, like say you are riding a bike now, there's always going to be a bike with a bit more power, and you have to relearn to ride that bike. Even though you know everything, there's always something to learn, and you will feel that nervousness again, I'm sure of it. And that's okay, that's fine, because you know you can do it. You've been riding for however long, and you've proven to yourself you can do it. It's just one of those things, like I had to do with myself on the day. I mean, months ago I couldn't even turn on a bike. I had no idea, and now I'm out on the road. Granted, I've only been out like twice. I'm not gonna get too big, but it's a massive achievement, and it feels amazing that to prove to yourself that you could do it with all of those worries and all of those thoughts, and the fact that you were so adamant that it could go wrong, that it wasn't going to work, and that you couldn't do it, and then you did do it. So it's doable. I did it, and you can do it, and everyone else can do it, as long as you give it your best go. Put your all into it. And then that's it. I think that's all I have to say. Obviously it helps that I had help. I had my dad there all the way. I had all of my family cheering me on. I even had my co-workers cheering me on. Everyone was there for me, which I am so grateful for and so happy for, because it really helped to know that I've got such a big support group. And I'm sure there's loads of you out there who do as well. And even if it's just a few people, that is it, you'd be surprised how much that can help. Now, I'm not saying all of you are going to be a massive nervous wreck like I was, but for those of you who do really struggle, it's okay. You can struggle and you will get there, because I did. And that's a big thing for me. Because there's many things I've had to overcome. Many times I just was on the verge of giving up. Like after that CBT, I had to really sit down and think just about everything, really. If I want to continue, if I could continue. And I realised no, I had to, because I really wanted to. It's what I want to do, and I had to prove to myself that I could do it. Because if I gave up, then what does that say? But yeah, thank you for listening to my experience, to my time. And I'm sure you'll see more of me, or hopefully my one hit wonder moment. But yeah, thank you for listening to my experience and my thoughts. And again, sorry if this was a bit all over the place and doesn't really make sense. This is my first time, but I hope you can all cheer me on. Thank you.
It's the Wiltshire Rider here. Just thought I'd do a little video on why we decided for Maddie to do a video on her riding journey. Obviously, we've not included the whole thing, because it's taken quite a while. And we thought it would be good, because like many people, Maddie does suffer anxiety, which she explains a little bit without going into depth in these videos. And Maddie decided she wanted to learn to ride a bike. Obviously, I should imagine because of my influence. I've always ridden bikes, I've always loved bikes. My brother got me into motorbikes from the age of, 5 years old maybe. I always remember just being around motorbikes. We thought it would be good to share, because Maddie has really struggled with her anxiety. But for me, it's very proudly that she has decided to try and overcome it. So everything Maddie does exhausts her to the point of sometimes being ill, just through anxiety. Over the last couple of years, through help and certain things we've done, it's got a lot better and it's improved. She's got a part-time job now, and as you can see, she started riding the bike. I can't even remember when the journey started. I think it was around August. She bought a bike from the Superbike factory, and I've not heard great things about the Superbike factory, if I'm honest, but when I didn't arrange anything for Maddie, she did it all herself. She looked at the bikes. We went to Fowler's in Bristol and she sat on a couple of bikes, which was lucky that she did, because as she said in her video, she's quite short, and the Honda CG125 was the only bike she could really touch the floor on, and it wasn't too heavy. So that was the bike she chose, and then it all kind of fell in place where she was looking at bikes for a good couple of months, and then the Superbike factory one actually come up, and it had literally just been bought by them. It was had just arrived in one of their units or shops, whatever you want to call it. They sent her loads of videos, sent her loads of pictures, they sent description. The bike had 4,000 miles and it looked to be in good condition. So she went ahead and arranged the finance and the insurance. The bike wasn't too badly priced. I think it was about $3,000 and she's paying it monthly, as she says. The shocker was the insurance. So the insurance, we went on comparethemarket.com and other providers, and it was coming up with quotes of £6,000 to £10,000 for fully comp insurance. Now, we all know insurance is high when you're younger, and we just thought we must have put a decimal place, or we must have put some information in wrong. So we done it 2 or 3 times on 2 or 3 different websites, and that's what the quotes were saying: £6,000 to £8,000 for fully comp insurance with around £1,000 excess. So that was a massive shock, to the point of that would stop a lot of people riding. That is just ridiculous amounts of money. How anybody could justify that, I really don't know. As I say, she bought the bike on finance, and they prefer you to have fully comp, but she's on third-party fire and theft, and that was £800 a year, which again she's paying monthly. Now, I remember when I first started riding years ago, everything's relative. I was on a very low wage, as they were in those days. I was apprentice mechanic, so I was earning about £20 a week, if that. And my first big bike was a Honda CB350 twin, and I think the insurance was about £400, which was a lot of money then. So comparatively, it's probably not much different now. Anyway, again, she sorted all that out herself. She asked me for advice, and I listened into conversations, and I just checked over with my limited knowledge and experience, what I know, and it all seemed okay. So the bike got delivered, and even the driver who delivered it said, what a good quality bike. So I went for a quick ride on it, just round the block and up and down the road before the driver left to make sure everything seemed okay. I mean, it's all potluck, isn't it? When you buy a new vehicle, you don't know what's going to happen to it. But to be honest, it's a really good bike. I've used it for work. My bike, the rear shock, as you may have seen in one of my videos, my rear shock went typically just before the MOT. So I was using Maddie's bike for around 2 months to get to and from work. Brilliant bike. Gets £13 worth of fuel, got me 360 miles. Absolutely fantastic. Still does 50 miles an hour without a struggle, without actually revving the bike too much. And with Maddie and I two up going to the car parks, it still pulls lovely. I can't praise the bike enough, and it's one of the bikes that they use in all the training centres, so it's going to be, parts availability is going to be great. Anyway, Maddie seemed happy with the bike. She got on it, absolutely loved it as soon as she sat on it, really, or even as soon as she seen it. So what we started doing clutch work in the back garden. The first day we had the bike, luckily we've got quite a spacious back garden, enough just to do a little bit of clutch work and just a little bit of rolling off the clutch. So for the first week or so we were just out in the garden getting the accelerator and biting point, just to learn that bit of riding. And she listened and she caught on really well. The next stage then was out in the car parks. We because we live in a nice little Corsham village in Wiltshire, everything shuts at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock on a Sunday. And because we had the bike in the summer, we managed to get to a couple of closed car parks, and we started doing the old, biting point, pulling away, stopping. And we done that for a couple of weeks. I could tell Maddie was really nervous, and we just done sort of 45 minutes at a time, and that was enough. By the time she finished, she was a bath of sweat, absolutely exhausted. And to be fair, learning to ride a bike, it's not like a car where you've got someone sat beside you and they've got dual controls, and if you do something wrong they can brake for you or do the steering. On a motorcycle you've got everything to consider: balance, braking, acceleration. And it's not just a matter of if you lose your balance, you just stop. You can, fall and hurt yourself, damage the bike. So there's a lot to be nervous about when you start riding a bike, and I completely get it. So we've done that for a good couple of months, and I think maybe my fault, we didn't practice enough before her first CBT, and I didn't actually realise how anxious and nervous Maddie was. So she went for her first CBT, I think that was in September. And as she says in her videos, no need for me to repeat that, she got into her own brain and got way too anxious and nervous. But what I'm very proud of is the fact that she made the sensible decision not to go out on the road. As much as she was so upset about it, she realised how she was feeling and thought, no, this would not be the right choice. And I think that's amazing to make that decision. So then when she got back, like she said, she was devastated. So we said, right, don't worry about it. It's not like you've given up. You've decided to carry on. So that's what we did. So this time we got straight back on the bike. Within the next week or so, we were doing a couple of nights out in the car park, got her confidence up again, and then, rightly or wrongly, we found some we found some very quiet roads on a Sunday afternoon in a local trading estate. There's a bus depot there, so there's buses going around and the odd lorry. But it was virtually like a car park. And luckily it had a mini roundabout. So we started riding up and down this road. I got her going around the roundabout, signalling left and right. There was a couple of driveways into trading estates that had quite big, steep inclines. So we done hill starts, figure of eights, and we just built her confidence. And again, we started off by doing half an hour at a time. Again, because she didn't get through the first CBT, that was in her brain. And we just took it half an hour at a time, and we always finished on a positive. If she made a couple of mistakes, I tried to tell her not to worry, they're just mistakes. I still make mistakes on my bike. Not recently, touch wood, but I've dropped my own bike, and is annoying, and you might break something, but it happens. That's the nature of motorcycling. Sometimes a wrong foot or a bit of oil and you can just put your foot down, or forget you've not put your side stand down, and away it goes. So they're minor things. You just got to think, oh well, and crack on. And that's what she started to do. She stopped focusing on the mistakes and started riding. I always tried to finish the ride on a positive. Not always, I did finish every ride on a positive. If she'd done really well and it was around 40 minutes, I'd say, right, let's stop there, let's finish on a high, and then we'll come out again. And that worked. Every time we finished on high, that reinforced the fact that she was getting better. So we thought we discussed it, or I suggested it to Maddie, why don't we do some videos about how you find the whole process? And maybe if Maddie's up for it, we'll carry on doing the videos, because I think there's so many people out there who are anxious and worried. Maddie gets exhausted. And I talk to a lot of other people who, especially since COVID, their children have become anxious and they're worried about going out. And the gaming society, sometimes young children, they're on games all the time and they don't have the social skills like we did as a kid when we were just kicked out and you had to play and come home before the lights were switched on in the street. And she always sticks with it. She is quite tenacious and she's quite determined. So I hope you enjoyed the videos, and if you do know someone who suffers with anxiety and you think they would benefit just from watching these videos, we've tried to keep them as short as possible and we've tried not to go too in depth, but I hope they will help someone. Anyway guys, that's partly the reason I haven't done many videos, is because I have been working with Maddie, teaching her how to ride. We've also led the bike down on some cushions in the garden to teach her how to lift the bike up. We've done that a couple of times, and then just the usual. We haven't done many figure of eights or U-turns, to be honest, because on a motorbike I very rarely do a figure of eight or a U-turn. I do go and practice it myself because my bike is heavy, and but mainly I do the old shuffling to turn round. Not due to lack of experience or can't do it, it's just 9 times out of 10 the roads are so busy, it's very rare you could do a U-turn now. So I do find a car park and I do practice myself now and again. And I said the same to Maddie, once you get riding, you probably won't do that many, but it's a good skill to practice. So as you've seen on our first ride out, we've taken our first ride after the CBT. I thought it was quite successful. We're going to carry on doing 2 or 3 rides a week. There's no pressure to actually do it quickly. But at the moment the bike is costing Maddie money. She's paying for bus fares and she's paying tax, insurance and paying for the bike. So the sooner we can get out on the road, the less money she's going to spend on buses. And also I think it's another notch in the old confidence scale, and it will also give her freedom. She's working part-time at the moment and the motorbike might give her that freedom to find a job slightly further afield or with different hours. So anyway, as I said, if you've enjoyed these videos and you think someone would benefit from watching them, please just get them to watch it. And hopefully some more maintenance coming your way from the bike. It's chucking it down today, but we've had that many floods and a bit of ice. There was actually road gritters out the other night, believe it. So I've been out there with my waterproofs on today, washing the bike off, hosing it down, adjusting the chain, oiling and spraying stuff. So didn't video it because it's so wet. All you'll see on the camera is droplets and it's hard to use the microphone and that in the wet. But please keep watching, subscribe and like if you do like my videos, and there'll be more to come. See you soon guys, have a great Sunday, bye bye.